You ever get the feeling that peace and quiet are just waiting for something stupid to happen? That was me that Wednesday morning breeze, humming through the pecan trees, coffee still hot in my hands. World just silent enough to make me suspicious. My wife Julia and I, we'd spent nearly 2 years in our place outside Austin, barely a blip on the HOA's radar, hell 5 blocks past the edge of their territory. I checked with a land use attorney before we signed the deed. You don't take chances with people who can fine you for painting your mailbox the wrong shade of brown. We weren't rowdy, didn't party, didn't leave broken down cars on cinder blocks, just regular folks who wanted to mow our grass when we felt like it and keep to ourselves. Julia worked nights at the hospital, so most days the house was more of a sanctuary than a home, and I kept it quiet. Maybe that's why the first letter threw me. White envelope, no stamp, dropped in the mailbox with "To the resident" scrawled in dollar store ink. Inside, you guessed it, was an HOA notice with a laundry list of infractions that made zero legal sense. Non-regulation fencing color, unauthorized mailbox placement. Our fence was original, the mailbox older than most folks on the board. I actually laughed, thought it was a prank. That was before the second letter showed up, this time with a warning about daily fines if I didn't comply. Julia said it was probably just a mix-up, so I called their office. The lady was polite but stone cold, insisted our property had been annexed into their precious HOA after some redistricting vote. I told her to double-check her files. My parcel's private, always has been, always will be. She said she'd make a note. 2 days later, there's an $850 fine taped to my front gate for visual disharmony. What was so offensive? The copper rain chain I put up last fall. Guess it clashed with their committee's sense of style. That's the moment I stopped laughing. Started saving every scrap of paper, snapping photos, pulling plat maps and county assessor records, all of it. Julie and I talked it over one night, and by the next morning I was sitting in my lawyer Philip's office with a folder that probably weighed more than my dog. He flipped through the mess, shook his head, said, "They're bluffing. Happens all the time. But you're not the guy they want for this." That week he filed suit, civil harassment, unlawful demand for payment, attempted property control with no jurisdiction. 3 weeks later we're standing in court. Phillips lays out every document, deeds, plat maps. The whole legal buffet, even brings an affidavit from the original developer saying our lot was never under HOA control. Judge didn't even hesitate. 10 minutes later, it's ruled in our favor, $45,000 in damages and legal fees, plus a public apology from the HOA for overreaching. Felt damn good. Julie and I went out for barbecue that night, but before the check came, Phillips leaned in close, real serious. Install cameras. The real kind. Hidden if you can. Don't assume this is over. Next morning, I bought trail cams for the fence line and one tucked above the gate, camouflaged in the porch light wiring. Not because I was paranoid, but because something about the whole mess just felt wrong. Weeks passed. No letters. No fines. Even Julia joked the clipboard brigade was back in their cubicles. I almost believed it. But silence isn't always a blessing, you know. Sometimes it's just the pause before the storm. One still Sunday morning, I'm halfway out the door for groceries. Julia's still asleep upstairs. Walking down to the gate, humming some half-remembered tune, I see 2 guys standing just outside. Black uniforms, silver security badges, radios on their shoulders. Looked like they belonged at Fort Knox, not my driveway. They didn't say a word, just watched me walk up. One of them, Sean, hands me an envelope sealed with red wax like a prop from a bad legal drama. I open it up. It's a letter demanding I apologize to Karen Little, former HOA president, for psychological trauma and emotional instability caused by my legal action. They want $7,500 as moral restitution for her healing. I actually laughed, asked if they were serious. Sean didn't crack a smile. His buddy James looked anywhere but my face. I handed the letter back, told them Karen could frame it right next to her court order. That's when things turned. Sean steps in, close eyes burning with something more than just HOA duty. "We've been out here since 3 this morning," he says. She asked us to speak to you personally to avoid more legal trouble. I told him this was harassment standing at my gate all night. We just wanted to settle this quietly, James pipes up. Quietly standing out here in uniform like the neighborhood Secret Service. Yeah, sure. I turn to leave, but then wham, I'm hit from behind hard. My head cracks against the mirror. Sean's on me before I can even get my hands up, then James piles in too. I don't know if you've ever been jumped before, but it's less like a movie, more like trying to remember your own name while your ribs and face take the brunt. Fists, knees, boots, it all blurs together. At some point I'm on the ground, gravel in my cheek, their breath heavy above me, and just when I think it might be over, a boot catches me one more time. And then silence. Footsteps, a car door, gravel crunching as they drive off. Laying there, I remember one thing through the haze, the camera. I dragged myself inside, barely able to breathe, and pull up the security footage. There it is, clear as day, those two waiting by the fence for 6 hours, jumping me on tape. My hands are shaking, but I dial 911. Julia finds me minutes later, panic written all over her face, paramedics right behind her, hospital stitches, cracked ribs, concussion, all for defending my right to not join an HOA. The detectives come review the footage and tell me both Sean and James work for the HOA security firm. Only turns out this firm is paid under the table. No real contracts, just hush money funneled through a dead landscaping business Karen Little used to own. She'd gone to that length just to pay someone to rough me up. The DA doesn't waste time, aggravated assault with intent enhancement for leaving me there bleeding. Both guys get arrested, denied bail, and charged up the wazoo. Then the local news gets hold of the story. Suddenly neighbors who never made eye contact are dropping off soup, handwritten notes, banana bread, even a retired vet 2 doors down thanks Julia for standing up when the rest of us were scared. The HOA starts to crumble. Members resign, people stop paying dues, board meetings go quiet. Then Phillips calls, the HOA is dissolving. They just filed for bankruptcy. Julia brings me tea without a word. Karen Little disappears. No one's seen her since the night the news broke. A few weeks go by, and a letter shows up with a $320,000 cashier's check restitution, not apology. Both Sean and James are sentenced to 20 years, no parole for a decade. Their assets, what little they had, got sold to pay damages. Julia makes sure we buy a new SUV with reinforced panels. I double down on security cameras on every side. And then wouldn't you know it, the past comes knocking. An old college friend, Alex, calls. He's a cop in Illinois. We got her, he says. Karen Little caught trying to scam seniors in Chicago under a fake name, selling fake insurance. Same MO, same arrogance. She's facing a raft of charges: fraud, elder exploitation, attempted wire fraud. Probably looking at 20 years herself, maybe more. The whole neighborhood changes. People wave again. Potlucks, backyard barbecues, 4th of July fireworks, the kind of things the HOA used to regulate down to the brand of ketchup. Glenn, the old treasurer, comes by and admits, "We were cowards." "You weren't." "Thank you." I nod, still not sure if I feel victorious or just tired. On the 1-year mark, Julia organizes a cookout. Neighbors' kids, folding chairs, music in the breeze. Someone hangs a carved wooden sign by the gate. This property is protected legally and otherwise. The retired vet, probably. As the sun dips, someone asks if I miss the HOA yet. I grin only when I want to be sued for planting the wrong flowers. Laughter fills the porch, the ache in my ribs finally fading into memory. Julia raises a glass to good fences, working cameras, and very, very long prison sentences. And to Karen, wherever she's not leading a committee right now. So let me ask you, when the folks who are supposed to keep order turn into bullies, what would you do? Stand up or stay quiet? Drop a comment below. Tell me your take on justice. And if you've got your own HOA horror story, well, you're in good company. Hit subscribe if you think peace and quiet should come with a little less paperwork and a lot more backbone.